All right, so a couple months ago, maybe it was last year, I reviewed a movie called Class of 1999, which is technically the sequel to this movie, Class of 1984. And a lot of you guys suggested that I check it out, so I did, and it was pretty good. Um, yeah, so Class of 1984 was released June 3rd, 1983. It's written by Tom Holland and directed by Mark L. Lester, who's obviously the Class of 1999. He's also done Commando, really big, popular action film with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Showdown in Little Tokyo and Firestarter, to name a few. Stephen King adaptation that gets ridiculed because it's loosely based on the story. But yeah, I haven't even seen that yet, the film yet. But yeah, so if you're not sure what Class of 1984 is, basically Class of 1984 is the story of a music teacher who comes to Seattle to he gets hired at a high school in Seattle, and basically, when he gets there, the high school looks a little run down. There's graffiti everywhere. They have to go through metal detectors and stuff like that, and weapons checks and everything like that. It's like a little prison, and yeah. So when he gets there, he realizes that the teens basically run amok in the school, and there's no like authority figures really stepping up or anything like that, and so when he first gets there, he sees the gang. There's like a lot of gang activity. There's drug dealing, people doing drugs. There's violence. There's everything, and it's like the worst of the worst that you could think of. And yeah, so he takes note of it, and throughout the film, he basically starts to fight back against these rebellious teenagers and the gang and everything, and try to make change. And try to stand up and try to help them with any means necessary. So whether it's fighting them back and showing that they can't just do what they want, and that they can't, they have to listen to the authority figures still, even when you're in high school and stuff. And that there is a lot of good dramatic elements into this film. It's really well put together, I thought. The acting's pretty good. Cinematography was really good. The effects and everything look pretty good too. For a 1980s film, this was really well done, I thought. And I think it's a lower budget film too, which surprised me because, yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be that well done. And I actually really enjoyed this film. There's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't see today in films and stuff like that. But yeah, it's also one scene's loosely based on a true story where a science teacher or a teacher in general pulled out a gun and pointed at a student in some high school in the States. And so they incorporated that into this film, where basically this gang that's been targeting the music teacher is good friends with the science teacher, who is actually, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's a really good, famous actor. And his role is probably the best in the film. And yeah, but they basically kill off his animals that he has that are basically his pets in his classroom. And he is so emotionally distraught. The acting performance is outstanding in this one. And then he brings a gun to the school and points it at the kids. And it's up to the music teacher to talk him out of the situation, take him home and stuff. And then, yeah, to get him out of it. And then basically hangs out. He's still like treats him like a human being, checks on him and stuff like that. Comes back and he comes back later on and helps him out. And yeah, I thought that was a really well put together scene in the film. It's one of my favorite scenes, and yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. So yeah, but like I said, you wouldn't really see that these days and stuff. And also, it has like an older guy chasing after teens, trying to blow up a car and stuff like that. And a whole lot of other crazy antics go on throughout it and stuff. And it's just there's a lot of good tongue-in-cheek humor. There's a little Corey Feldman. There's a lot there for everyone. There's someone there for everyone, that you can relate to, whether it's like the head of the gang, who's the big bully, who actually does a really good job at staging a beat up where he smacks his face off like a sink and then throws himself against the wall. And it was actually pretty well done and choreographed and stuff. And yeah. Um, yeah, there's not too much to complain about. I wish it was a little longer. And spoiler, I'm going to talk about the ending in a sec. So, but yeah, I wish it was a little bit longer, and that maybe it had a little more altercation, maybe a little more uh, closure compared to the ending. It was quite an abrupt ending. That's the only two things I could think of that I would want more into it. But the ending it has was really good. It's definitely one you won't see nowadays because this one has a teen hanging him, basically getting accidentally hung, which was a surprise. And actually, I thought was a really good move. There's one they apparently shot an alternate ending for it, and where they have more of an altercation, which would have been like my big like one I'd probably go for more. I probably would have like made a more solid ending for it. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's actually out there or not. And yeah, but for this one it worked too. Still did it. I'm surprised the studio let them do it. It was 1984. You get away with a lot more back then. Now you can't even put like nudity clips or anything like that in YouTube, or else they censor you and all that nonsense. So, what a shitty world we live in nowadays. So, yeah, Class of 1984 is definitely a product of the time. If you like films from like the 1980s and stuff like that, you'll love this one. It's like The Warriors meets Mad Max almost. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So for Class 1984, I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5 because I really enjoyed this film. For some reason, most people classify this as a horror film. I wouldn't really say so. I'd say this one is definitely like a solid thriller than a horror film. But if it sounds like something you're into, you can find it on Shudder. This isn't sponsored by them or anything, but I just thought I should mention that it's on Shudder right now. You can just go and watch it. It's really well done. I was really impressed. So, yeah, definitely check this one out if you have Shudder. Or yeah, and if you want to see like a trailer beforehand, it's linked down below, like always. So yeah, check that out. Also check out my Instagram. I always post clips of post clips of films that I'm going to review in the future. All my story, all the time. So make sure you follow me on Instagram. Stay in the loop. There's usually the film titles and the hashtag, and I usually put the subgenre of film in there too, in case it's something you're not interested in or whatever. You're aware of it. So yeah, follow me on Instagram. Stay in the loop. Make sure you like this video, share it somewhere people are aware of it. Comment your opinions of this film down below. Let me know what you thought of it, and if you've seen it, and if you have any films at all that you want to hear my opinions on in the future, whether it's horror, sci-fi, thrillers, anything. I'll watch anything. So comment them down below. I'll try my best to get to them as soon as I can, and if I can find them. And make sure you subscribe because hopefully I can help you find some weird stuff that you never heard of to check out. And yeah, so that's it for this one. Yeah, I think there's a long lost sequel to Class of 1999. I think I'm going to track that down and try to see that next, but who knows? So yeah, make sure you subscribe, and I guess I'll see you all in the next review. Definitely check out Class of 1984. Cheers.